ってたな、ゴミクズども。
Queen is one of the 3 lead performers within the Beast Pirates, and therefore one of Kaido's closest and most trusted confidants. He serves as de facto ruler of the Udon region in Wano country, and for the past 10 chapters or so was overseeing and controlling the battlefield from the balcony of the live stage. He's also one of my favorite characters. However, the current chapter of 995 has brought my attention to something quite interesting. Upon discovering more of the Straw Hats from their respective bounty posters, something Fukurokujo has beaten him many chapters ago, Queen made a comment with emphasis on Vinsmoke Judge. Immediately, this got me pondering if there is a deeper connection that both Queen and Judge may have shared in the past. We know that Judge used to be renowned as a brilliant scientist, and that he worked alongside Vegapunk decades ago in an illegal weapon research and development team. Together, they were able to discover the blueprints for the creation of life itself, the lineage factor. Unfortunately, the world government caught wind of this group, and whilst Judge managed to escape, Vegapunk was arrested. But this event did allow Judge to become a highly skilled geneticist, being able to apply advanced operations of cloning and gene manipulation, and still be able to continue his research on the lineage factor afterwards. Not only that, but Judge also has exceptional knowledge of military technology from the Germa kingdom, something that Queen also shares to an extent. So let's split Queen's skills into 2 categories, aside from his devil fruit and combat abilities. On the one side, we have his engineering expertise, which goes as follows. His ability to create cybernetics, notably his left arm, and tinker or otherwise apply modifications. Number 2, his supposed creation of explosive collars and other restraining devices, similar to the Celestial Dragons, but with a twist. And number 3, his possible shipwriting experience, considering his vessel looks very intricate. Speaking of his personal ship, let's just appreciate it for a moment. It has elements of both a traditional galleon and a more modernized battleship, especially because of that tower. Its turrets remind me of marine technology, and I have no doubt that it's also armed with those high-quality, long-range cannons manufactured in Wano exclusively, which will allow them to easily hit enemy ships from afar. On the other side, we have Queen's medical expertise and virology, the latter of which he is immensely knowledgeable about. He has invented deadly viruses and weaponized them by storing an ammunition called Excite bullets, which instantly spread the disease upon striking their victims, and entire groups of enemies only need a few hits to be infected. We have seen 2 of Queen's viruses so far. The first one is called the mummy virus, which causes high fever and constant bleeding. Not long afterwards, its victims become shriveled and dehydrated, suffering everlasting pain. But the second one is more interesting, called the Ice Oni, which covers its victims' skin in ice, altering parts of their bodies to look like Oni and enhances their physical abilities. The victims themselves are left freezing and seem to turn savage, as the frost combined with the strength boost they receive causes the victims to die after 1 hour. It has not been completely explored though, because in chapter 995, Chopper looks like he might be onto something there. And I'm also curious to see how he will deal with the infection himself, and maybe he will turn it against Queen. By the way, let's just pause for a quick moment. Can you imagine the synergy that there would be if Queen used his Ice Demon ability with Doflamingo's birdcage? 2 masterpieces into one. Absolutely terrifying. And Doflamingo wouldn't even need to contract the cage in the first place, since both could enjoy a good show. Also, in terms of medical expertise, his ability to develop an antidote for one of his deadliest viruses as a safety measure is noted. So, considering that Queen stated that the Ice Oni was his masterpiece, does this mean that we have seen all information considering Queen himself? No, definitely not. One Piece certainly has its fair share of scientists and inventors alike, and moreover, I consider Queen to also be a scientist, because a scientist is someone who would use his or her knowledge and expertise to help engineer new creations to the world. Therefore, any of the following scenarios could apply, and do keep in mind that since Queen's age has not yet been revealed, it allows us for some form of flexibility. Scenario A has Queen originally part of an illegal research group under Vegapunk and Judge, roughly over 30 years ago. Since Judge is currently 56 years old, it makes sense that in his younger years generations ago that he would have worked with them back then. As a lab assistant or an apprentice, Queen would have been exposed to the science behind military technology and cybernetics, and possibly even research on the lineage factor. The lineage factor itself was first introduced by Kuma, followed by Caesar, and then Yonji from Germa 66. In this arc, Queen could be the one to shed more light on the picture, and it can set up as the perfect precedent for a Vegapunk reveal soon. Also, considering that Queen may have not immediately joined Kaido's crew 33 years ago, and that Queen was seen at earliest 23 years ago, this scenario gives more weight to the possibility of learning from direct tutelage. In scenario B, Queen would not be part of the group, but he may have known Judge personally and perhaps met him in the past. Now, whether this was a good or bad experience is up to interpretation, but I do have a crazy take, which involves Queen being the one responsible for creating the drug that Sanji's mother Sora took in the first place in order to counter her effects of the surgery. The scenario would work a lot better if Judge was the one responsible for Queen's loss of left arm, but that brings me into the third scenario. In this scenario, Queen took the Frankie route in terms of not necessarily meeting with Vegapunk or Judge directly, but reading Vegapunk's old blueprints and adapting the knowledge from there. He may have willingly decided to replace that part of his left arm. In this way, we can have Queen learn by himself the art of cybernetics, but it would leave out the virus creation aspect up for debate, unless Kaido's possible history of Vegapunk would mean that Queen could have stolen ideas and technology from Vegapunk himself. The final scenario is a wild one, but considering that King's outfit reminds me so much more of a high-ranking Impel Down officer, then it's not a stretch to say that Queen may have worked in a science or engineering division of the Marines, maybe even somewhere in the world government. Defecting from it would have landed him a bounty, but he may have also chosen to leave in order to pursue other career paths. Along the way, Queen may have sold weapons and technology to Judge too, so in this case he would know Judge from a business standpoint. And you know, Queen might know Judge because he's infamous within the underworld. With all that being said, does this mean that Queen is destined to fight Sanji, or that his so-called matchup is already predetermined? Well, no, not necessarily at all, but it does now mean that Queen is aware of the rest of the Straw Hats and has duly noted them. Personally, I would like Frankie to fight him since both of them share themes of funkiness, cyborg abilities, and chat energy. We can throw Brook in the mix too, considering his immunity towards the Ice Oni virus, and the fact that Brook was paired up with Frankie in the first place, but all of this is for another day. So there you have it, a theory on Queen's possible connection with Judge and Vegapunk. Let me know what you think, and if you have come towards a different interpretation than I have. Maybe I'm just overanalyzing or going too deep down a rabbit hole, but nonetheless, I enjoyed this chapter, and I did notice that we'll be getting an early chapter next week on November 20th. So that's certainly something to be excited for. Until next time, peace.